Now, let's say, for instance, I get bit by a dog on the job, and then I didn't want to tell my manager. I'm scared I'm going to get caught. So then I go to my personal doctor to get it looked at. What type of danger can I be in that situation?
The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the member's best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
What is going on, everybody? So today I have Greg Kerwood out of Local 25 in Boston, and we're going to be covering how to handle yourself when you call in for an injury. Let's say you get injured on the route, or maybe you're an inside worker, you get injured. We'll help you out on that end. But first, I kind of want to cover something that's been a lot on the feed, on the news. A lot of people are worried about layoffs right now. We'll get into layoffs if there's enough news to cover it. I know there's some people online that are reporting like 45 people getting laid off in their building, and I've seen some crazy numbers. I talked to a lot of people around the country, so I made those phone calls to the business agents and stewards, and I haven't seen it in my area, and those people I talked to out in California, Florida, everywhere else, they haven't seen it in their area either. We not saying there's not layoffs. Right now, it looks probably around 5 to 7% are laid off from the beginning of the year, from what I can see. But Greg, I mean, layoffs in Boston, what are you seeing right now?
We still have some. We've had some people recalled back to work, but I wouldn't say there's been any increase due to anything in the last month, 2 months. So, they're still there. Like you said, some of them haven't gone away, but I don't see anything drastic happening. And we're about to head into summer vacation soon enough. So I don't see the uptick here.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, maybe next week will be different, but I'd love to talk to the people. If you're one of those people that said, hey, I walked into work and 45 people got laid off, I'd love to hear from you. Please email me, roswellhub@yahoo.com. But we're not here to talk about that. I'm here to ask Greg some questions. So, Greg, we're going to go down the rabbit hole. Let's start off as a part-timer, right? Let's say you're a part-timer and you pick up a box and you tweak your back, right? You go up to your supervisor and you say, hey, man, I tweaked my back. Supervisor is like, just go home and rest it off. Is this proper? Is this the way you should handle it or should go about it?
Absolutely not. You should obviously report any injury immediately to your supervisor. If they do anything other than take you to fill out an injury report, you should find your steward. You should probably let your steward know anyway, but regardless, if they're not doing it properly, you should find your steward and make sure that injury is reported, whether it's a little tweak of your back, or you think it's okay, or you think it's no big deal. You're not a doctor, and neither is your supervisor. Neither is anybody in the building. I don't think any UBS buildings have a medical staff. So it's not up to them to decide, or even you to decide how hurt you are, or whether it merits any further treatment.
And from the years of you been working here, have you ever seen it where a supervisor told them to go ahead and sleep it off, and then maybe, unfortunately, the member passed away?
I've certainly heard and seen stories of members passing away, due to heat or things like that, where they should have gone to the hospital, and management, told them it was no big deal, or told them to go home, or, take a break or rest or take a day off. I think we had a member, I forget exactly where, last year, 2 years ago, who was told to go home, went home, and ended up passing away. It's not something to mess with. Again, you're not a doctor, they're not a doctor. And certainly if you're suffering from heat exhaustion, you're not in any mental capacity to make those kinds of decisions. So don't take management's word for that. If you're on the road and you're suffering from heat exhaustion, or if you're feeling the effects, call an ambulance, get yourself to the hospital, because you don't know how bad off you are. And by the time you may know, it may be too late. So it's not something to take any chances with.
Yeah, as Greg said, the summer months are coming. It's going to get really hot out there. And with the heat exhaustion, we've seen it so many times. People, unfortunately, have passed away. We've had multiple members pass away from heat exhaustion. And going home and resting uh, is the absolute last thing you should be doing. You need to get some medical help if you're, dealing with dehydration and all that. So, Greg, I'm going to get into the driver portion. Us as drivers, we go out, we run into the elements. Let's just say, for instance, this happened to me, but I, I actually was walking up the stairs one time and there was like a hornet's nest underneath it, right? And hornet came up, stung me. There was tons of hornets everywhere. Luckily, I only got stung once, but still got to report it. It's an injury. I'm not allergic, but I wanted to let him know. Uh, Call up my supervisor. Everything seems fine. I feel fine. Is that the proper way to go about it?
Well, you do have to notify your supervisor, but again, an injury is an injury, and you never know what could happen, or what will happen 2, 3, 4 days later with any injury. And so the important part of the injury process is you have to document that it happened. And that starts with that injury report. Any lawyer will tell you, if it comes before a judge, that the company is going to argue. The first thing they're going to argue is that you didn't report the injury immediately. Every state laws are different everywhere. Comp laws are different everywhere. The rules are different everywhere. But certainly here in Massachusetts and probably most states, you have an obligation, if you're injured, to report it to your company. So it's not even a question of should I or shouldn't I. It's a legal obligation on your part, certainly here in Massachusetts, to report your injury. And so you want to make sure it's reported. It doesn't mean you have to seek medical attention. It doesn't mean anything other than you're reporting an injury. Now, if you want medical attention or you feel you need medical attention, you have a right to that. And that's a whole different ballgame. But, if you slice your hand open, may be bad, may not be bad, maybe whatever. But you have an obligation to report that and not concern yourself with deciding how bad things are, or is it bad enough to merit this, or should I say something, should I not say something. You're injured at work, report the injury, get it documented, and then you're covered, whatever happens down the road.
Okay, Greg, so you were talking about reporting an injury immediately, right? But let's just say, my foot hurts me day one, day two, maybe it hurts a little bit more. Maybe it's day three, it gets into my leg. And day four, I'm like limping, right? But I didn't report it immediately because originally it wasn't that bad. Am I in trouble then?
No, you're not in trouble. And the company's going to try to make that argument and try to, put it on you. Why didn't you tell us right away? This, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, once again, you're injured at work. And, sometimes things go that way, where something, gradually gets worse, or you didn't understand how bad it was at the time, or it's a repetitive stress injury. It may be something that, you hurt your back because you've been lifting boxes for 15 years, 16 years, or you've done damage to a certain part of your body, your shoulder, right? All of a sudden your shoulder's bothering you. The company will try to argue, and their insurance company will try to argue, well, there was no incident. There was no trauma that caused this. But that doesn't change the fact that you've been heaving boxes around for 15 years, and it's a repetitive motion, repetitive stress injury. And so, the company makes up all of these things to try to get you flustered, or to get you to back off, or to try to imply that somehow you're faking things, or that, it doesn't merit what you think it merits. But it's not up to them. It isn't up to them. It's up to you. It's your body, your doctors, your lawyers, your side of the argument. You have the laws are on your side almost universally. And so, you have the right to report whatever injury it is. You have the right to ask for medical attention. It's up to you and whatever doctor you see. Again, the laws vary around the country by state to determine what it is that you need and what's the proper care. And it's not up to UPS to make that decision, or up to the insurance company to make that decision. It's up to you. And so, don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid, because at the end of the day, you've only got one body, and, you give enough of it to this company, and you need to protect yourself, because we all want to walk out of here, at least healthy enough to enjoy our retirement.
Now, let's say, for instance, I get bit by a dog on the job, and then I didn't want to tell my manager. I'm scared I'm gonna get caught. So then I go to my personal doctor to get it looked at. What type of danger can I be in that situation?
Again, the laws vary, but you know, a case could be made that that's insurance fraud. If depending on the laws of your state, if you were hurt at work and you're not reporting it as a work-related injury, that means your insurance is going to be paying the cost for the care, and your insurance company isn't going to be happy about that because they don't want to pay any more than any other insurance company wants to pay. And so, it's you're playing a risky game with that. But the thing to remember is, again, there's no need to be afraid of discipline. The company likes to use that, threaten it, or whatever to try to intimidate people. Well, you should have been doing this, or I've heard people say if you were wearing pants, you wouldn't have dealt with the dog bite. I mean, just stupid arguments like that, just to try to get people to feel that it's their fault that they were injured, and that is irrelevant. Completely and totally. You are working. You are in the service of the company. You are injured in any scenario, right, wrong, or otherwise. The important thing and the first thing and the initial thing is you are injured and you need whatever you need to deal with that injury. The company wants to give you a warning letter 6 months later, you should have grabbed this or you should have done that. So be it. But that has nothing to do with you being injured and reporting your injury and getting the care that you need.
And Greg just tapped on, I know all the laws are different everywhere. I know in the state of Georgia, if you bring a workman's comp claim into a short-term or basically workman's comp, something that happened at work, and you try to say, no, it happened at home, the insurance company finds it. Basically what ends up happening is they will make you pay for all the doctor's visits and everything else. It's a mess. So keep those two pockets separate, right? Because I've seen it so many times at this point where someone gets hurt at work and then they go to their personal doctor over it and it muzzies up the system. But I encourage everybody out there, talk to your steward, talk to your business agent, because this is different everywhere. There was another thing I want to talk to you, Greg. Let's say, for instance, I go out there and I, try lifting up a box and I sprain my back and I call up my boss and my boss is like, just take it back in and just sleep it off for the weekend. And let us know on Monday. What's your thoughts on that?
That would be the wrong move. You'll find it amazing how much this company will bend over backwards to accommodate you suddenly when you appear to have an injury. If you're not injured, they won't do anything to help you, give you any time off or whatever. But suddenly, magically, when they think you might be injured, now they want you to stay home and take whatever time you need, et cetera, because they get dinged for the injuries. Like everything else at UPS, it's a numbers game. And, they don't want that lost time injury or any injury on their reports. And so they'll give you, free ice cream for a month and whatever else to get you to not report that injury, if they think that that's going to work. And that is not a good idea. I can't tell you how many members I've seen go down that road only to find out that the injury was a serious injury and it wasn't something minor. And then it's 2-3 days later and now it hasn't been reported. And the company is trying to argue that you didn't report it right away and it draws out the process, et cetera, et cetera. It's all part of the game. Don't take management's word for anything related to your health. Protect yourself, report your injury, and notify your steward, get them involved in it, because they're your ally. They're the person that's there to argue with management over this and make sure that your rights are protected. They've gone through this probably dozens and dozens of times with members, and they know what the rules are. They know what the laws are, and they can send you in the right direction and make sure that you're not being intimidated into something that you shouldn't be doing.
Okay, Greg, let's say I'm an inside employee and I'm having a lot of heat stress issues in these hot warehouses without AC. What should happen in that event?
Obviously, if you're feeling ill due to heat in the building, again, you want to report to your supervisor. Go find the coolest spot in the building and cool yourself off and relax. But it's important for everybody to understand that under the new contract, there is supposed to be a person assigned to every shift as the heat person. And that person is empowered by the contractual language to call 911 and emergency services if they deem it necessary. Once again, this is not something that's left up to the company's interpretation. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're a steward or if you're a member and you see somebody who's in that type of situation, call 911, right? Deal with the consequences or whatever it is later on, because people die from this stuff. This is a life and death issue. It's not a time to be hemming and hawing and worrying about, what the company is going to do or their response, or it's not a time to be afraid. It's a time to take care of your brother or your sister who may be dying right in front of you, and get them emergency services. And then your steward and your business agent and your local can take care of whatever flack the company decides to throw your way after the fact.
If you have not done so already, follow the Teamster Media Hub on Facebook. Greg Kerwood runs that. Appreciate you, Greg, for running all the Facebook accounts on there. So, Greg, shout outs. Do you have any shout outs today?
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to our brothers and sisters out of Local 89 at Caesars Casino. They have been on strike for quite a bit now. As usual, they're dealing with another arrogant company with lots of money who doesn't want to share with the people that make them profitable. And so they're out there holding the line. Please give them your support. If you're in that area, in that neighborhood, stop by. Again, people sometimes think that, if you don't devote 16 hours to it, or if you don't bring a truckload of food or whatever, it's not worth it. Everything helps. Show up, show your support, shake some hands, make people feel better, beep the horn. All of those things make a difference when you're out on that picket line. So don't be shy.
100%. Every picket line I've ever joined, even if you just show up for 10, 15 minutes, it means the world to them. They love seeing that other people support their cause, So that's all I got, everybody. I love you, and I'll catch you next time.